well in 1942. So it was somehow exchanges, no, with all this intelligence and even resources. So Kangleon, by November 11, 1943, ordered to meet for Tate, no, in Mindanao. So supposedly he also boarded the boat and then went to, we suspect, no, because it's only mentioned Butuan, Mindanao, we suspect it somewhere in Butuan at the same time. So the area command, Leyte area command under Kangleon already receives arms and supplies. No? And then in December 1942, there was a larger, more powerful transmitter that was bought to Kangleon from Mindoro this time. No? And it supposedly could contact Australia. Because during that time, the technology, the first one that was brought by the three Americans, it couldn't reach the radio frequency of Australia immediately. This one supposedly could already reach that. No? And then, it is the same year, this is something important. 1943, this is between, we're not sure of the dates yet, but we're trying to estimate it by May to October 1943, when Ruperto Kangleon's children, 4 children, Jesus, Corazon, Alexita, and Aida, were actually captured by the Japanese. And then they were held hostage. And the Japanese were trying to intimidate now Kangleon because he was trying to consolidate all the guerrillas. No? The problem was, the aide de camp of Kangleon was also his son. So there was a family matter ongoing when the Japanese also had the other siblings captured. Ruperto Kangleon, according to the Jonathan Chung account, said that he would not surrender for love of country and that his children are now in the arms of God. So God's will be done. That was a part of the line of Kangleon when he was deciding, in the camps what now to do that his children are held hostage. And apparently, the children were held hostage even during Leyte landing. So they were still in Tacloban. No? And that's something that Kangleon had to grapple with when he was dealing with all the other nitty-gritty things of the war, like establishing a civil government, dealing with other guerrilla groups, and then they had a civil war actually with Miranda as well, because Miranda would not submit to Kangleon's command, even with the orders of his affair. Because in the way that we interpret it right now, probably because Miranda didn't want anything to do with imperialists, regardless if it were a worst imperialist, the Japanese, or the current imperialists, or actually colonizers during that time, the United States. So yan, October 21, 1943, roughly a year before Leyte landing, that's when the Leyte Area Command was actually established. And then in July 1944, we skipped a few slides already, that the US Nautilus, a submarine, delivered supplies to Leyte from Mindoro. So there was inter-exchange as well of arms and supplies, depending on which USS submarine could render the arms and supplies in the specific islands that the guerrillas were operating in. And then in the same time where the USS Nautilus supposedly delivered supplies, there were 70 tons of equipment and they were unloaded in recorded time. The whole narrative goes that apparently there was a Kabakaba, there was a Paluto that, so a sailing boat that went to as far as where the USS Nautilus could surface itself without being caught by the Japanese. And then that's how supposedly the arms and the propaganda, the food, were being smuggled into the island of Leyte. So they were, according to the account, 50 pounds of corned beef, 150 pounds of cured ham, more food, more eggs, sugar, and then after that, the submarine now proceeded to Sulu. So you can see that the operations in Leyte contributed to the whole inter-island dynamics of the guerrilla resistance movement. no? Especially in the Visayas side and then in the Mindanao side. Okay, and then this was an account by Gamersfield, one of the American soldiers, that there was also weather equipment that was brought into the island. Imagine steel, no, inside the boat, no, inside a sailing boats, our sailing boats today, being smuggled into the island, not being detected by the Japanese, and then the Americans also had to be in the island. You have to smuggle in not only the equipment, but also the Americans. Yung mga puti, smuggle in natin, diba? And then, this is just basically already, because by the time this is 1944, when these are the contributions na of Kangleon himself, and then the coordinations with the US forces. So October 1, October 10. I won't go through them one by one anymore, but it's just important to highlight that, okay, Kangleon was ordered to meet MacArthur in Bulak, Apulog. No? So there were supposedly meet-ups by the US and the Leyte Area Command. We're not sure yet if this meet-up is by the island, by the shore, or at sea. But we're sure now that the Leyte Area Command was using sailboats, land operations, and even intelligence reconnaissance. No? And then eventually, October 20, that's what we're celebrating in 2 days. So these are, they're no longer readable, but these are a more expanded accounts according to the Jonathan Chung Jr. book. No? That how the other guerrilla units no longer still within the Leyte Area Command, but could operate independently of it. No, were raiding certain we're raiding and ambushing Japanese trucks and then camps at the same time. What's interesting here, like this is what Jobert was talking about earlier, that there were guerrilla units that could specialize in truck raiding and then in ambushing camps on land. There were some that could intercept the Japanese ships themselves. Because there was supposedly an account that they operated at night and then massacred all the Japanese that were coming inside. Panahon. Yeah, there was in the panahon. So yeah, more of the evidences. And then siguro here is this is what's something new that we've now surfaced. No? Because Red Daza, in the same book where Professor Cardinillo also co-authored, Red Daza is, by the way, a descendant of Eugenio Daza, no, of the Palangigaba. But Red Daza describes the hunters, ROTC, who operated in Luzon as urban guerrilla warfare. That's how we call it, because they operated mainly on land. Now, what Jobert and I are trying to establish, or have now preliminary data to back it up, is that the Leyte guerrillas, they developed a method we like to call modern island and inter-island guerrilla warfare. And this is something that's new in the conversations of not only guerrilla warfare but World War II Leyte. So similar to Luzon, specifically the hunters, if you compare how they operated, there were ambushes, conducted intel operations, and so on. But what's again important is that the use of our native sailboats, and at the same time coordinated with other island guerrillas. So like the supposed escape, the Kapile, when he was trying to smuggle in Kangleon from Agusan, coordinated with the Agusan guerrillas, supposedly. And even Blas Miranda had connections with the guerrillas of Bohol and then Panay at the same time. So and lastly, we had war songs. That actual recording that we have of the song, according to Chun, was also, we don't know yet kasi the actual rhythm of how it was used. But according to Chung, when he interviewed Kangleon, it was the rhythm that they used when they were firing their Thompsons. So you can see now how music is used, the rhythm, to kill your enemies. And that's how we suspect. You would know that at night, you're firing at the right angle, and not when you hear it, you know that the rhythm is from allies, not enemies. No. So that's something new that we're also trying to surface. And this is something that we have to understand. That without Kangleon, and more importantly, the Leyte Guerillas at large, there would be no Leyte landing. So it's not just MacArthur for the 80 years that we've been talking about, but it's now about ourselves. And that's how you decolonize our history. You surface it from what we know. Despite his faults and lapses, like everyone in history, including the Bonifacio and then Aguinaldo, even the hunters had quarrels with the Martins guerrillas. And then even if you go to the US, there's Hamilton and then Aaron Burr who killed each other. There's a global crusade against fascism that was happening. And Kangleon and the Leyte guerrillas are not just local heroes. Because that's how the media is trying to portray him right now. A hero of Macrohon, a hero of Leyte. But actually, he's not just a hero of the Philippines, but he is a World War II hero. So usa nga salute, no? Usa nga militante nga paggitasan kumo kag Kangleon nga naaton mga guerrillas. Padayon at pakimbiso. Daw nga salamat.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Lacato Network University of the Philippines and Mr.